months, this case has stayed quiet. A mystery buried under official statements, broken timelines, and families who refuse to talk. 2 children, Lily and Jack Sullivan, vanished without warning. No footprints, no sound, no trace. And the adults who were supposed to protect them? They told us everything was normal. But now, someone else is speaking. A neighbor, a man who says he was there that night. He says he heard shouting, a fight behind the house. He heard them arguing about who would take the kids, not who would watch them, who would take them. He didn't go to the police. He didn't go to the news. He waited months, and now he wants to clear his conscience. He says he heard Daniel yelling, "You're not taking them." He says he heard Malaya spitting back, "They're leaving with me tomorrow, whether you like it or not." He heard a door slam, and then silence. So now we have to ask, why did he stay silent this long? Why come forward now, when the children are still gone? Is he telling the truth? Or is this just another twist in a story full of shadows and lies? 2 missing children, a secret fight behind a house, and a witness who waited until now to speak. This is not a drama. This is not a game. This is the life or death of 2 children who never came home. If you're here to get closer to the truth, stay with me. If you are here for justice, please stay back and watch. Because after hearing what this man claims, you may never look at this case the same again. These are not just holes in an investigation. They are cracks where the truth could be hiding. Because children don't just disappear without someone, somewhere, knowing what happened. And in this case, the silence is almost as disturbing as the disappearance itself. This is not just the search for Lily and Jack Sullivan. It's the search for the missing hours, the missing evidence, and the missing truth. But before we dive into this, kindly subscribe to our channel if you believe in fighting for justice. We've just crossed 4,000 subscribers, all because of your support. And we need that same energy to reach 5,000, then 6,000, and then 10,000. So go ahead and drop your fingerprints on that subscribe button and where you're watching from. Because wherever you are, the day this vision is fulfilled, I will send my appreciation straight to you. Let's keep building this community that fights for justice together. For months, the town of Lansdowne Station has lived with a mystery. 2 children gone. No answers. No sign of them anywhere. Lily and Jack Sullivan vanished from a quiet home in a quiet town, and the silence has only grown heavier. But today, something shifted. A man who has remained silent from the beginning has finally stepped forward. He's lived only a few houses away, close enough to see the backyard, close enough to hear voices that weren't meant to be heard. He says he stayed quiet to mind his own business. Until now. According to his statement, he saw Daniel Martell and Malaya Brooks Murray standing behind the house the very evening before the children disappeared. Not talking, arguing. He claims they weren't fighting about chores, bills, or the fence out back. They were fighting about who would take the kids. His words were chilling. They were yelling about the children. He said, "You're not taking them." She said, "They're leaving with me tomorrow, whether you like it or not." Then a slam. Then silence. If that's true, if that argument really happened, everything we thought we knew about this case just changed. The man who just came forward isn't a stranger. He's been part of this neighborhood for more than a decade. People know him as the guy with the overgrown tomato garden, the man who keeps to himself, the one who shovels his driveway without asking for help, and never causes trouble. 2 houses away from Lily and Jack's home, just far enough not to be in their business, but close enough to hear raised voices if the wind's blowing right. Wait a minute, do you know how many nights I've stayed up going over the same questions? How many times I've replayed those 2 days in May, looking for the one detail everyone else missed? And yet people still treat this like a story to pick apart for entertainment, while Lily and Jack are still gone. I'm tired of people chasing likes and followers when 2 children never came home. If you think you can scroll past this and sleep peacefully tonight, ask yourself what it says about you. I'm not here for clicks. I'm not here for subscribers. I'm here because two children, real children, with real faces and real laughter disappeared. Every second wasted on chasing clout is a second stolen from the fight for answers. I don't care about being the first to post. I care about being the last one standing when the truth finally comes out. And when that day comes, it won't matter who broke the story. It'll matter that justice was served for Lily and Jack. On the evening of May 1st, he says he was outside at around 7:30 p.m. The air was still a little cool. He had pruning shears in his hand, trimming the hedges before dark. In a town like Lansdowne Station, you hear everything: dogs barking, kids riding bikes, screen doors squeaking. But what he heard that night wasn't any of that. It was rage. A man's voice, sharp, forceful, carried across the quiet backyards. "You're not taking them." Then a woman's voice, louder, angrier. "They're leaving with me tomorrow, with or without you." It wasn't a misunderstanding. He says they repeated variations of it. The same words about the kids. Not chores, not bills, not dinner. The kids. And then, a loud slam, like a back door hitting the frame. The kind of sound that ends a fight but doesn't resolve it. The witness says he froze for a moment, listening, then went back to stacking his tools. He didn't go over there. He didn't call anyone. His exact words were, "I didn't want to stick my nose in someone else's family." So he stayed silent. For months, he watched the search parties, saw the flyers go up, heard people asking, how could two young children just disappear? And he still said nothing. Until now. Now he claims he can't sleep at night. Can't shake the sound of that argument out of his head. Says he's finally ready to tell the truth, even if it's too late. The question is this guilt? Or is there another reason he's talking now? He says the silence became heavier than anything he heard that night. For months he tried to convince himself that maybe he heard it wrong. Maybe the words, "You're not taking them," were about something else. Maybe the slam was just a door, not a warning. He watched the search parties out his window. Some days even handed out coffee to volunteers walking past his driveway, all while holding onto a secret he hoped would never matter. But secrets rarely stay quiet forever, and guilt has a way of ripping through even the most private people. Recently, he says he began losing sleep, not just thinking about the children, but replaying that exact moment, the argument, the threats, the chilling silence that followed. Night after night, he heard their voices all over again. Daniel yelling, Malaya shouting back, the name of the kids repeated over and over. He claims what finally broke him was seeing Lily and Jack's faces on a new flyer, their eyes staring back at him, like they never left. That's when he decided he couldn't go another day without telling someone what he heard. But others in town are whispering something different, that he may have been pressured, that rumors about Daniel, or fear of Daniel, kept him quiet, that maybe he didn't come forward out of conscience, but out of fear that someone else would expose him first. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he's changing it to fit the narrative that's winning online. One thing is undeniable. His timing, months after the disappearance, changes how we see everything. Because a witness who stays silent for months can hold the truth, or inject more chaos than the case can handle. So now we have to ask, did guilt finally make him speak? Or is this something else entirely? To understand how this new testimony shakes the foundation of this case, let's lay the timeline out again, piece by piece, now with this witness statement added. According to Daniel's own version of events, May 1st looked like this. Around 3 p.m., he and Malaya take the kids to pick up pizza. They return home. Daniel spends the late afternoon outside, working on a fence. By evening, he claims the children were already in bed. Nothing unusual. No argument, just a quiet evening in a quiet house. But now insert the new witness into that timeline. At approximately 7:30 p.m., that same night, just behind the house, an argument. Loud, aggressive, specific. Not about chores, not about pizza, not about bedtime, but about the children, about who would take them, about leaving tomorrow. That one fact changes the entire evening from calm to volatile. If that argument really happened, then this wasn't a peaceful night of putting kids to bed early. This was a fight, possibly the last major confrontation before Lily and Jack went missing. And that changes everything. Could this argument have been the trigger moment? Was a decision made that night? Did someone lose control, or did someone finalize a plan? This isn't just a crack in the timeline, it's a fracture. The moment where disappearance begins to look a lot less like mystery, and a lot more like escalation. Once an argument like that is added to the picture, the question becomes why. Why were two adults, both connected to the children, fighting over who would take them, only hours before Lily and Jack were gone? There are a few possibilities. The first, custody conflict. We know Malaya had talked in the past about leaving Daniel. Some family members claimed she wanted to move away with the kids. If she was planning to take them out of the home that next morning, Daniel may have tried to stop her, not through the courts, but right there in the backyard. The second, fear of exposure. If there were allegations of abuse, neglect, or drug use in the home, and Malaya was threatening to remove the kids and expose everything, that could have triggered a desperate response. The third, a planned escape gone wrong. Some believe Malaya may have been planning a secret departure with the children before dawn, possibly to protect them, possibly to run from something, and Daniel might have found out. Whatever the reason, a fight about custody the night before a disappearance leaves a very dark implication behind. This may not have been random. This may not have been a stranger, which means if this witness is telling the truth, that argument wasn't just angry words. It may have been the moment everything was set in motion. The motive wasn't in the woods, or in the dark. The motive may have already been inside the house. When two adults argue over who will take the children, not just who will watch them for the evening, that's not a normal disagreement. That's a custody crisis. And if it happened just hours before Lily and Jack went missing, it raises dark questions about motive. Possibility, custody conflict. If Malaya was planning to leave the next day and take the kids with her, that would have threatened Daniel's control over the household. Some people close to the family had already hinted that Malaya wanted out, that she was fearful, or fed up. If Daniel found out she intended to leave, especially with the children, that alone could trigger a volatile reaction. In those moments, logic disappears, anger takes over. Control becomes everything. 2. Possibility, fear of exposure. There have been long-standing rumors about what really went on inside that house, including allegations of substance use, child neglect, bruises seen on Jack's face, CPS visits that got downplayed. If Malaya threatened to expose it, Daniel may have seen that as a direct threat to his reputation, his freedom, even his relationship with his own mother. Sometimes it's not love that keeps people together. It's mutually assured destruction. If Malaya leaving meant truth coming out, someone might have wanted to stop that from happening. Possibility, a planned escape gone wrong. There's another scenario. What if Malaya really did plan to take the kids early in the morning, not to harm them, but to protect them, or flee from something she believed was dangerous? That would explain the phrase, "They're leaving with me tomorrow." If Daniel found out about the plan, the argument could have escalated into something irreversible. And that means whatever happened after 7:30 p.m. wasn't spontaneous. It was a reaction to a plan that had already been made. If any one of these motives is true, custody, exposure, or escape, then that argument behind the house wasn't just a fight. It was a turning point. And it suggests that the disappearance wasn't an accident, and it wasn't random. It was personal. It came from inside the home, which leads us to the most chilling possibility of all, that the last people Lily and Jack ever saw were the same people who were fighting over who would keep them. News of the witness spread through Lansdowne Station within hours, not through official channels, but through backyards, grocery aisles, and late-night phone calls. And almost instantly, the town split in half once again. 1. Some felt validated. There were residents who always believed something happened inside that house. Not a random abduction, not a wandering accident, but a conflict between the adults. To them, this witness sounded like long overdue confirmation. Finally, they whispered. Someone else heard it too. They saw the man as someone validating what many had suspected from the very beginning, that the truth was closer to home than anyone wanted to admit. 1. 2. Others were skeptical. But just as many were unconvinced. They questioned why he waited so long. Why now? Suddenly, after months of silence, some accused him of seeking attention. Others wondered if his memory had been influenced by news coverage. In a town already exhausted by rumors, another voice wasn't necessarily welcomed, especially one that arrived months late, and without proof. 1. 2. New rumors sparked. And as expected, the rumors only grew louder. One side began repeating, maybe Malaya really was trying to take the kids and run. Maybe it was a mother finally protecting her children. The other side argued just as forcefully. No, Daniel must have stopped her. Maybe that's why the kids disappeared. Maybe that's the confrontation that started it all. With no official clarification, each new rumor added more gasoline to a fire, already out of control. 1. A community further divided. The town wasn't just sad anymore. It was suspicious, angry, and fractured. Neighbors stopped speaking. People chose sides. Some defended the family fiercely. Others believed the case had been mishandled from the start. And now, instead of bringing people together around Lily and Jack's disappearance, this new testimony drove them even further apart. In a case like this, a new witness can either move the investigation forward or tear the community in two. In Lansdowne Station, it seems to have done both. Silence is not new in this case. It began long before this witness came forward. Long before the news cameras arrived. Long before the wooden bridge became a symbol of everything unsaid. 1. Silence protects more than one thing in many child disappearance cases. Silence doesn't always protect the innocent. Sometimes it shields the guilty. Sometimes it protects people who are afraid of the consequences. Not only legal consequences, but social ones, family ones, even violent retaliation. In communities like this, people don't always stay quiet because they don't care. They stay quiet because they're scared, or because they think the truth will make things worse. 1. 2. Comparisons to other cases. This isn't the first time a crucial witness has waited too long. In cases like Harmony Montgomery, investigators later discovered that several people knew she was in danger long before she vanished. But no one stepped forward until it was far too late. We've seen this pattern before. Neighbors who didn't want to get involved. Family members hoping things would get better on their own. And by the time someone finally speaks, it's no longer about prevention. It's about recovery. Or worse, closure. 1. 2. A witness can be a domino. Some believe this man might be the first domino, that his confession might give others courage to speak. If there were more people who heard the same argument, who saw something odd that night, or even suspected something, this might be the moment they finally step forward. But the danger is just as real. Once one person speaks, others may try to protect themselves, rewrite their own memories, or shift blame. Is it too late? The hardest question to face now is this. Is it too late? Because the longer silence goes unbroken, the harder it is to find the truth. Evidence fades, memories become cloudy, and sometimes, the person who could bring clarity is already gone. In a story like this, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's part of the crime scene. To understand the weight of this witness' claims, we have to lay them side by side with Daniel Martel's own words, the very timeline he insisted on in dozens of Facebook posts and private messages. 1. Daniel's public narrative. Daniel repeatedly insisted that nothing was unusual the night before the children disappeared. He said they came home from a pizza trip. He worked on the fence, and by bedtime the kids were already asleep. Peaceful, uneventful. He even said, "I flicked on the kids' room lights. Kids are sleeping." His strongest claim, not an abduction. Daniel went out of his way to tell people this was not an abduction. He insisted it had to be someone the kids knew, or that they wandered off, but he was adamant that it wasn't a kidnapping. He repeated that line several times, even correcting others in the Facebook group when they called it an abduction. The new witness disrupts everything now place, that next to what the neighbor says, that at 7:30 p.m., Daniel and Malaya were fighting about who would take the kids. They're leaving with me tomorrow. If that's true, then someone in that house was already planning to remove the children, and someone else was resisting it. That would make Daniel's calm version of events not just incomplete, but possibly dishonest. Why it matters. Daniel's repeated phrase, "It wasn't an abduction," takes on new meaning. Was he subconsciously revealing something? Was he diverting people away from the word abduction, because the truth was closer to custody removal or domestic dispute? A fight between parents can still lead to abduction, even if the kids know the person who took them. This new testimony directly contradicts Daniel's story of a normal night. It suggests a rising storm, not a calm bedtime routine. If that witness is telling the truth, then Daniel's story doesn't just have holes, it has veins of deception running straight through it. There's one voice we still haven't heard. Malaya's. She hasn't gone public, hasn't contradicted the witness, hasn't come forward to clarify Daniel's claims or defend herself. Some say that's because she's traumatized. Others say it's because she's hiding something worse than grief. And now, with a neighbor saying she was arguing over custody the night before Lily and Jack were gone, that silence becomes harder to look at as a symptom of shock, and easier to see as a choice. Where was she the next morning? Why did she mark the kids absent so early? Why isn't she the one demanding answers before anyone else? If the witness is telling the truth, she was in the middle of that argument. She was part of the fight, which means she might not just be a mother in mourning. She might have been a direct participant in the moment that triggered everything. And her silence isn't neutral anymore. It's either the silence of someone afraid to admit what really happened, or the silence of someone who already knows, and cannot speak it without losing everything. Whether she acted out of protection or complicity, we can't know. Not yet. But what we do know is that we are no longer dealing with one unreliable narrative. We're dealing with two. But before we decide who is guilty of what, we have to face a painful truth. This new witness, the man in the garden, may not be a savior to this case. He could be something else entirely. Because right now, all we have is his word. There is no recording, no timestamp, no proof that the voices he heard were even real. And we've seen it before. People inserting themselves into tragedies for attention, for relevance, for that brief moment when eyes finally turn to them. So maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe he waited because fear kept his mouth shut. Or maybe he waited because there was nothing real to tell, until the story grew large enough that it was safe, or convenient, to jump in. That is the risk. Because a single false witness can wreck an investigation just as quickly as a guilty suspect. False leads distract. They waste precious time. They poison what little trust is left in a town already drowning in suspicion. But there's another side. Maybe he's the first of many. Maybe now that someone has spoken, someone who heard what sounded like a custody fight on the final night, others will start to remember things they've buried. Maybe others will finally talk. And in a case like this, truth never comes all at once. It trickles, in fragments, in whispers. If he's lying, we lose time. If he's telling the truth, we gain a doorway. One man's voice, either a distraction, or the sound of a crack finally forming in a wall of silence. The wooden bridge still haunts this case. That small weathered structure out on Landown Road, the one most people would drive past without a second glance, became one of the earliest points of suspicion, not because anyone saw Lily or Jack there, but because of one small chilling detail, a metallic star sticker found near the base of the bridge, identical to the ones decorating Lily's pink jacket. Search teams scoured that area for days. Cadaver dogs, flashlights, digging tools, markers on trees, everything you'd expect at a site of potential evidence. For a moment it looked like that bridge might tell us where the children had gone. Now, with this new eyewitness account of a fight the night before, the bridge takes on a darker relevance. Because if Malaya and Daniel were truly fighting over who would take the kids, what if someone already had a location in mind? What if one of them was planning to leave before morning, to take the children away, and the bridge was part of that route? And if the fight became physical, if it escalated into something no one can now undo? Was that bridge the place where someone tried to hide the truth? The question is no longer whether the children wandered off. The question is whether someone took them to that secluded spot intentionally, to leave no trace. Did an argument that started in the backyard end somewhere out on that dirt road? And if so, what happened in between is not disappearance. It's disposal. That bridge isn't just a location anymore. It may be the last quiet witness. Whatever peace this town had left is gone now. Trust has collapsed. Families who used to share Sunday dinners no longer speak. Neighbors glance at each other like strangers. Suspicious stares across fences. Whispers in corners. Nobody knows who to believe anymore. And everyone is afraid of being wrong. Some people believe this new witness is a hero, finally giving the missing puzzle piece that could bring Lily and Jack home. Others think he's a liar, stirring the pot and making everything worse. And that disagreement has broken the social fabric of Lansdowne Station. People are turning on each other. Those who still support Daniel feel personally attacked. Those who think Malaya was trying to protect the kids feel vindicated. Everyone is looking for someone to blame. And with every new rumor, a new target is chosen. You can feel it in the air. This wasn't a community that fell apart when the children disappeared. It's a community that began falling apart after the silence. And now, after this witness, it may never recover. Because truth does something violent before it heals anything. It creates chaos before it brings justice. So now we stand at a crossroads. This new information could force investigators to reopen elements of the timeline they thought were settled. If this witness is interviewed formally, his statement could lead to renewed interviews with Daniel, with Malaya, and maybe with others who heard things that same night but haven't spoken yet. The question is, will it? Will the Rcmp actually act on this? Or will they brush it off the way so many early tips were brushed off? There's talk in town that law enforcement is already revisiting certain phone records, looking again at GPS data around that wooden bridge, quietly, carefully. If more witnesses step forward after this man broke the silence, the story could unravel fast, or it could snap shut again, tighter than before, as people dig in to protect themselves, their families, or whatever secrets they still think they can keep. The pressure is back on Daniel. The pressure is back on Malaya. And for the first time in weeks, a case that had gone ice cold suddenly feels like it's burning beneath the surface again. All it took was one voice, one man, a few words, but the consequences could be enormous. What happens next? That depends on whether we choose to believe that voice, or question its motives, whether investigators dig, or look the other way, and whether Lily and Jack's story finally steps into the light, or disappears again, swallowed by silence and denial. One witness can change everything, or nothing. If what this neighbor says is true, then the night before Lily and Jack disappeared wasn't peaceful at all. It was a boiling point, a fight over who would take the children, followed by a silence that now feels suspicious, not tragic. And if that's true, then this was never a mystery. It was a decision. But if he's lying, we lose time, we lose trust, and we risk turning this case into nothing but noise. While the truth slips even further away, 2 children are still gone. So we're left with this. Is this man finally giving us what no one else had the courage to say? Or is he just another voice in a storm of distraction? And more importantly, should we believe what people are saying now? Let us know what you believe, because at this point, public silence might be protecting the wrong people.